No, I can't either.
This is a lot different than being like behind a camera that I can edit later. So it's true what she said, introvert. We're both are actually pretty quiet people in general, but so this is a little outside our box.
But what we're gonna do it.
We're gonna wing it.
Yeah. All right. So I guess the first question that we had was like, maybe you could go over like your guys' background, like as far as like, are you from the Oregon area? Are you? What's
I'm from the, are you interrogating us? I was born and raised in Oregon, in Eddyville, actually, so super small town girl here. And owned a business on the Bayfront for 18 years, was business partners with my mom. And so that's kind of my background before we got the van.
And I grew up in Northwest Montana. And I joined the Coast Guard. I don't know why. We don't have any ocean in Montana, but they sent me to Newport, Oregon. And so I spent 4 years running lifeboats in the calm waters of the Pacific here. And then I was going to go back to Montana, but I actually got hired by the sheriff's office. And so I wound up spending 25 years with the sheriff's office. And after almost 30 years in uniform, I decided I'm done with that. I'm going to do something different. Or we talked a long time about traveling, and we never had an intention of being full-time in a van. It just kind of evolved that way.
We kind of had an idea of a date of when, especially you, were going to be done working. And so even 10 years previous to that point, we began planning. So financially planning, and taking the steps necessary to make that happen. We had no idea what we would be doing, but
she wanted a camper van. Like, okay.
I did, and that didn't come about until much later. I think just maybe a year or so before we actually got the van. My grandparents, I grew up with grandparents that had a conversion van. At some points in their life, different ones, they buy and sell, and then they had like a small Class C. But I loved that van. We never did actually go camping in it, but it was their daily driver. Like we'd go visit them, and I'd hop in, we'd go to the restaurant, or we'd go to the grocery store. And I just loved the idea of having, like, they had a fridge with sodas in it. And like, it was like a little miniature house, right? And so that's a warm, fuzzy memory for me. And I just thought that would be cool to have.
Yeah, we did a lot of camping, and I've had several camp trailers and a pickup camper. And so we went looking for camper vans and knowing nothing about them. And we wound up actually buying our road trek in Eugene, knowing almost nothing about it. And we kind of started minimizing our life. We had a big house, and we sold that, and we bought, we kind of just sold everything. And we bought a little condo in Newport and a little condo in Las Vegas, more as an investment. And we thought we would spend half the time in this area kind of doing camping and travel, and then in the winter months down in Vegas, kind of exploring here and there. And it didn't work out that way.
That's not what happened.
No, it's our only vehicle. We traded both of our fairly nice vehicles in on that. So it was our daily driver. And 2 winters ago, we took off and went south for the winter. And so, as you know, Montana doesn't have really warm winters. Right. And Oregon doesn't have nice springs or summer. But I mean, Oregon has some really rough winters. I spent 30 of them here. And so the first time we went, I was told there was going to be a pitcher of beer here. So we went south for the winter in the van, and with no plan, no route, trying to stay on back roads, probably averaged 80 miles a day max. And we wound up getting down to Yuma, Arizona, and kind of worked our way east, wound up in the Florida Panhandle, and then worked our way back up to the Vegas place. So we were gone for 3 months, and it was an amazing winter. It was like sunny and like mid 70s, like, oh my, how did I ever do this? But we got back to the condo, and we were there for almost a week, but within 2 days, we're like watching TV.
It was pretty boring all of a sudden.
This life was like, I mean, we were so used to seeing new things and doing new things that after that 3 months of being nomadic and seeing things like we did, we loaded the van and took off. And I've actually since then traveled all across Canada, down the East Coast, and made a big circle back. We didn't see that condo again for 10 months, and we're selling it. We've already sold the Newport place, so that'll be it. So
Yeah.
We've been in that full time for 1.5 years now. And I always thought I'd need a home base, but all I do is I just come in the house and it's like, guess I'll watch TV, but we're so, everything we do is outdoors. People ask us how we live in a van. I say, we don't really live in a van. The van gets us to places, but in our 19.5-foot van, we have 2 mountain bikes, my road bike, backpacking gear, and 2 inflatable paddle boards. So we are outside doing fun stuff all the time, and hiking and running and that sort of stuff. So when you get back someplace, I guess we got accustomed to being able to ride and run in all new places all the time, as opposed to in Las Vegas, I would just run Red Rock Canyon. Pretty soon it was like,
Which is amazing when you're on vacation. But the reality is when you're doing this full time, pretty much every day is a vacation. So you want to go explore. You don't want to I guess it felt wasteful of time to sit in one spot for me.
Yeah, it definitely changed us.
Yeah. And it's too big. There's too much space.
Yeah.
I've gotten accustomed to the smaller. We have 2 plates. So when they're dirty, you clean them and they go back where they go. Now at the condo down there, it's like you have a whole set of dishes. So naturally what happens, you pretty much dirty them all and they sit there until one of you finally caves and does the dishes, right?
Yeah. But for us, we know our life is not for everyone. Some people think what we do is really cool. Ed doesn't want me to hear him.
Are you done? Yeah.
But our life's not for everyone. We get that, and we don't want anyone to think that our life is the way anyone else should do it. Everyone should find what their dream is and do it. Is kind of what we don't want to come someplace like this and say this is how you should live your life, because it's not. But whatever it is, I hope everyone finds that, because we kind of fell into what we didn't know we wanted to do. Because I can't imagine going back to the other lifestyle, and I wouldn't. It's nice to be back here visiting family and friends. We were almost 9 months away from her family on this last trip, but we're leaving.
So this never started out like as like a dream for you per se. Like it just
It wasn't. No.
And then the YouTube thing just was maybe like a way to document for family. That's how it started.
Yeah, exactly. We just thought we wanted to keep in touch with our friends and family back home. That's how it began. And we thought that would be a neat way to do it without just showing still photos on Facebook. They really could experience what we're experiencing.
Well, especially her parents are both alive, and my parents are gone, but she's very close to their parents. And to just say bye, might be back in a year or so.
That's hard, and every time we do it, it's hard.
So making these videos, I mean, they get to watch and they feel like they're part of it. It's been amazing. So her parents and our good friends will watch this and they feel like they're part of the journey. And we didn't expect to just let them be public. Never really thought about it too much. And then other people started subscribing, and now it's like we have friends from all over the world that we meet and talk to, and it's been.
And we still film with that in mind. Like that's still our ultimate goal with the videos and the YouTube channel, is to kind of have a video journal of, instead of a scrapbook, we can go back and look at these years from now, and our kids can enjoy them, and maybe someday our grandkids. And so that's kind of our
slow
angle.
down.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I said someday. So.
Yeah, we make videos that we want to watch in the future. And I know a lot of people, there's a lot of YouTube channels out there, but a lot of them are all about how can I get more people to watch, and we just don't. If you want to watch, great. If you don't, great. It's not what we're doing. We're just wanting to capture our life, and it's like a video photo album that we get to watch, and makes it kind of a good document our life. My kids love it. I mean, she became stepmom when we have two boys, and when they're in middle school, and now they're 31 and 28.
Yeah.
And they absolutely love it. I mean, they get to see what we're doing all the time. And I think my older son he's trying to get his life where he can work remotely and live in a van too now. So, which is crazy. I screwed up my son.
That's awesome. So what is your, I'm curious to know, what your day-to-day looks like. Like, are you deciding that day what you're going to do today, or do you have, the week plan? How does that work?
We're definitely deciding day to day. And sometimes we'll have a discussion at night right before bed, and then it always ends with, let's decide in the morning. We'll just wake up and see how we feel. Maybe we feel like going on a long hike, or maybe we feel like heading down the road, or we decide pretty much in the moment.
Yeah. Sometimes we'll have particularly we'll have a general direction we're going, and we'll see what may be up there. And with technology today, the phone apps, we have a video that we made called How We Camp for Free. And so we traveled close to 9 months on that trip from Oregon up to British Columbia, across Canada, spent 7 weeks touring New England, went down the East Coast, spent January in Florida, and then back across to Oregon. And we figured we probably spent $600 total in camp fees. So, and those were places that we just thought were nice campgrounds that were kind of what we looked for. Because we don't like really crowded campgrounds. There's so much free places, free national forest and free BLM land and national forest campgrounds that are inexpensive, but it's hard to pay $30 or more a night to be cramped in with all these other campers when you can go park someplace for free and be as remote as you want to be. So
as far as the planning, you just got the fridge loaded.
Yeah.
You're close enough to a town if you need to get supplies or whatever.
Yeah, we're never too far from supplies. I mean,
And we should probably, the van, when we say van, that can mean a lot of different things. Some people travel in a home-built van, which someday I'd like to build our own.
Yeah, I think so.
Very simple, but ours it's a fully self-contained RV in a 19-foot van. We never have to plug in. We run off solar. Our solar charges our batteries. We have a queen-size bed, indoor and outdoor shower with tankless water heater, kitchen, bathroom,
Everything.
microwave, TV,
Yeah.
hair dryer. Not for me.
Oh, it's for him.
Hey. But it's fully self-contained. It's got everything we need. If we go to a campground that has a plug-in, unless it's super hot and we want to run the air conditioner for a long time, we don't even plug in because our battery runs. The technology today is phenomenal with what these vans are. So that allows us the ability to drive out to some remote national forest place and just park. To make campers, we just put it in park and I put the lawn chairs out, and that's camp. There's no hooking up. I've had 2 camp trailers. I have to hook them up. So with the phone apps that show you all the free places you can stay, we kind of just look at maybe some options in the general direction and go, well, let's go here. If we don't like that place, we go here. And so it's kind of just random day to day. And
And sometimes we end up at Walmart, and that's okay.
Yeah, and then I told Ed, this is, he must have caught me in a good moment when he called and asked if I would do this. She's like, sure. I'm like, because I spent so much of my life with every minute was laid out with meetings and schedules. It was I had to live off the phone counter just to know where I was going to be. And so when I was done with that, I became like the most irresponsible, unreliable person you've ever met. I don't want to be like
Locked into a schedule.
this rain would have been miles behind us if I had not committed to this. So I don't know.
Do you guys see yourself doing this long term? Like how long? Just like
We
forever?
get asked that a lot. We have no idea. I mean, just kind of how we fell into it, we could easily find something else, I think. We're loving this now and can't really see ourselves doing something different in this moment. But 2 years ago, you wouldn't have convinced me that this is what we would have been doing. So I think both of us are kind of open to new experiences and ideas. And if something else kind of catches our fancy, then.
Yeah, life can be a funny evolution because like she said, we didn't know we were doing this. I don't know what we'll be doing in 2 years. And as far as how long we'll do this, I guess we'll do this until we don't want to anymore. You know, and that's I think that's what's important to know when that is, but what's next, I don't know. I mean, we drove through the Sierras in northeast California. And it was one of the few places in California I hadn't been. And I take back most of the bad things I ever said about California because the Sierras are amazing.
Oh, they're stunning.
They're just beautiful. And I kept looking up there knowing that the Pacific Crest Trail runs across there. And I'm thinking, you know, one of these days we want to, because we have backpacking gear in our van and maybe in 5 years I'll be through hiking the Pacific Crest Trail. I don't know. It's just whatever. We can't now because we have a dog in the van. So I think some dogs in the van.
I hope so.
So when you guys decide to come back home to visit your family, do you
Yeah.
have like a month in mind? Or are you just trying to, or just you kind of like?
Kind of, and this
Forecast a
last
little bit?
time was a little too long, we've decided. That was our first time we were gone that long.
Okay.
I flew home in March
Oh,
for a week, and so I got to visit then, but that was still about like 7 or 8 months. And for me, that's a little long.
it's trial and error.
Yeah, we're still figuring out a good timeline, but
Yeah. We do try to chase 75 degrees though.
Okay,
so we definitely like to come back when it's warmer, but yeah, sometimes
we need to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I went for a long run yesterday and I thought, I used to like running in the rain, but maybe I just told myself that. Yeah. Yeah, but we're leaving this Thursday and we're heading east and we'll be in Montana in July, and then I think we're going to probably be heading farther east and maybe back into Ontario. I loved Ontario, Canada. It's beautiful, beautiful remote camping up there.
You don't mind seeing the same places twice?
Well,
we're never in one place long enough to see it all. I mean, you take a look at Oregon, for instance. How big is Oregon? You could really spend a year here in all different places, and things look different in different seasons even. And
yeah,
I think.
And when you take back roads, like all these different back roads, like I was looking today, one of my pastimes is looking at my big atlas and looking at roads and going, and because we're going to be heading to Bend first, and I can go through Salem to Bend, or I could take, through Corvallis to Bend, or I could go to Eugene, take the McKinsey there's so many ways to get places that you can travel through the same area and see completely different countries. So I've never been, we're going to be going through places I've never been. If we go to Ontario, we'll be going through North Dakota and Michigan, and I've never been to those places. So
That's cool. I love it.
Unless I change my mind.
And then do you guys have friends along the way? Like, do you have like,
There's a few scattered here and there, but honestly, what's happening with the channel is that we're making new friends. So that's kind of an extra bonus, is that our family is growing, and we're getting lots of invitations to stop by and meet people, or they can take us out and show us some good hiking or biking. And so that's kind of been unexpected.
We have met some really cool people through the YouTube channel, and then some of the people that follow us will see that we're heading towards them, and they'll send a private message and say, "Hey, can we meet up with you guys?" I'm like, "Yeah." And we've had them come to campgrounds. we met a couple in Florida at their home and visited them for a while, and we have yet to meet anybody that wasn't just really.
We do get asked, if there's anything scary that goes on, or if it's because you're kind of out and just us, and if we've met any kind of crazy people. Honestly, we have not. Generally, people are good. That's what I found. It's like we haven't come across anything weird.
And it seems like we kind of meet like-minded people, and so it's been good.
I don't know if you want to open it up to any questions. Does anybody else here have any questions for these guys?
Raise a hand, sure.
Yes. Do you find that you have to do a lot of like maintenance and repair?
Well, we haven't. We've been very fortunate with our van, but we've had a minor stuff. I mean, but some people have trouble with their vans more than others. It's like some people have a car that breaks down a lot, and someone else has the exact same car and it never breaks down. We've been really fortunate. We've had things happen, like the fridge door fell off once. That was cool.
It's all part of the adventure, right? Nothing major, and just like changing oil and rotating tire, just the basic general stuff has needed to be done. So we've had nothing, and there's a 6-year warranty, so even if we did, it would be covered. But we've had no mishap. Really.
I have not mowed a lawn. I haven't cleaned the gutter. I haven't used a weed eater. So my maintenance has gone way down. So yeah, it really is. It's been a great van for us. It's been super reliable. And when things go bad, if you watch the channel, you'll see, because like she was opening the fridge door. We have a large fridge and freezer for a van, and she was opening the door, and it's up high, and it just fell off, and everything in there is like the floor is covered with jelly and artichoke oil.
Yeah.
I'm like, and she's like grabbing the camera. Check this out. Like
Real life.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not always, the adventure could be good and bad, right?
Yeah. I mean, I pretty much find the good in everything. That's a reminder. We need to kind of check that. We go down some really crazy, bumpy, gravel, dirt roads sometimes, and things loosen up. So it's kind of one of those things we need to check every once in a while, put some Loctite on. So it was a good reminder.
Yeah, and as far as things going wrong, there are going to be issues on the road. There's going to be things that happen, but one thing that we're both pretty laid back, take things as they come, and if you're going to do this lifestyle, you kind of have to be in the mindset that things are going to go wrong, and you just have to go with the flow, and it's part of the adventure. And we're both really good at being that way. Mm-hmm. But there are things that we worry about a lot. Well, I worry not a lot, but some of the biggest worries I have is getting into a crash. It's one thing if, say, you're driving through Newport and you get rear-ended, your car goes to the shop, and you get a loaner, and you go to work, and life goes on, then you get your car back. If someone crashes into your home, it's a big event. It's not like you can just get it fixed, and so you're having to so we have to be prepared for that. And it may be you're in some place you don't want to be, because some of the places we travel, we don't want to be stuck there. We try to avoid cities, but sometimes you just have to go through some places. And I mean, I would hate to be in, like we visited my son in LA, which I hope I never drive back through again. But I can't imagine being broke down in Los Angeles for a month or two, getting my vehicle fixed. Like, of all the places to be stuck, maybe some people like it. It's not my place, but. Yeah. So those are the things to worry about, is if you have an issue, go with the flow and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So based on the experiences that you've had, how would either you feel about having an unusual adventure by yourself?
Oh, I absolutely would. We have talked about that. If something were to happen, to either one of us, I would feel compelled to continue on until I felt like I didn't want to do it. Yeah, I absolutely would. For one, driving that vehicle is like just driving like a compact car, essentially. It's so easy. Maybe not. But yeah, no, I never feel unsafe. And we talk about this too, is if one of us kind of has a weird feeling about somewhere we're at, or we pull in somewhere to camp and it's just not feeling right for either of us, we just drive on. So, you know, there's a lot to be said for that. And I think if you kind of have that intuition, yeah, I would have no problem doing that alone.
And we've met several single women traveling in RVs, and they love it. I mean, they just live their life the way they want to live it, and they're pretty fearless. But we talk to them, and every one of them has talked about the same thing. When the spidey sense goes off, you just put it in drive and leave. So
what about healthcare insurance for kids when you're away?
Fortunately, both of us are pretty healthy so far. We try to keep active, so that's part of our health insurance. Yeah, we're just buying it on the market like everyone else. So
You can get it any place where you are.
well, we still have the condo in Nevada, so we're actually Nevada residents.
So that's where we have our health
we just
insurance
have
through.
health insurance through Nevada. We just buy the cheapest, almost worthless.
Neither of us have had to go see a doctor while on the road.
Now, however,
Yeah,
we need some insurance for our dog.
they do have pet insurance, which we don't have, but that probably would have been a good
We
idea.
spent more on dog medical bills in the last year than us combined in a decade.
I think we've said that we would just go to like a walk-in clinic if we were on the road and had a flu or something that required antibiotics or something simple like that, because those are everywhere. If it was something more extensive, we would have to go back to Nevada to get care, but
Yeah, and it varies state to state as far as health insurance, we've found out. So
luckily we haven't had to
I always tell
use
people
it.
eating healthy and exercising is my health insurance.
Yeah.
Hopefully I don't need anything else. Yeah.
What camera are you using to record your events?
For most of just the daily talking kind of stuff is a GoPro Hero 5 Session. It's just a little tiny cube. It's an inch cube. That's what we're using for that. And then the more scenic shots, we're using a Sony RX4 Mark IV.
Just a little side story about that is when we decided to do this YouTube channel, we didn't know anything about it. We didn't own a video camera. We didn't own a laptop. We didn't know how to make movies. We didn't know how to download music. We didn't know how to edit anything. We knew nothing about. We know whoever knows the least about it in this room. We know what they did. So 2 weeks before we went, we wanted to start capturing the journey right away. So we bought a camera and a laptop, and so she watched YouTube tutorials on how to make videos and how to download music for 2 weeks, and then we started making videos.
There's a lot of frustrating moments, and the van got really small.
Sometimes I went for.
Smoke coming out my ears.
Sometimes I left the van.
It's hard to learn something new. I mean, especially technology stuff. It's like a foreign language for me, and so it's definitely challenging. I'm to a point now where I have like the basics. I can kind of put something together. But if I'm trying to learn something new, like how to split screen, which I tried in one of the videos a couple back, it was bad. It was like 3 hours. I was watching tutorials, and it ended up not doing exactly what, and I can't do that.
Let's change the subject, shall we? What's funny is I always tell people that we're together 24/7. I mean, we're the only time we're apart is like when I go for a run. So I try to run a lot.
Yeah.
That was one of the questions on Instagram was, how do you spend time apart?
That's about
That
it.
would be it.
That's
But-
it.
But he's like, oh, I should run. I don't want to leave though. Like, you sometimes have a hard time going because
I
we
feel
want
weird.
to be around each other. I
Well, it's
guess.
not like that.
No, it
is. We're just blessed that we get along really well. We don't fight. We just, we actually like being around each other. So, which was a big, this whole living in a van was quite I guess it could be studied as a little experiment. Because when I was working, we had opposite schedules. I worked weekdays, she worked weekdays, and mostly all weekends. And then for many years, I worked night shift. And so we only had a few evenings together here and there. And then all of a sudden, we just jumped into a 19-foot van and are never apart. And so it worked out. So,
Yeah.
but we have, I mean, we know people that I can't imagine them living in a van together.
I wouldn't recommend they live in a van together. It's definitely not for everyone.
If you think that I couldn't live in a van with someone, you probably can't. So, Instagram questions, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm interested in the van.
Yes.
So, could you clarify about your, recently you said you found out you didn't have lithium batteries.
Right.
So you have, what, two?
With
Yeah, but the
AGM.
AGM.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said, is it 200 of solar on the
Yes.
top?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then what about the, because like, in Oregon, solar can't be working here somewhere.
Right. So one
yeah.
thing that.
Do you have it under, the
Yes.
generator, is that what saves you? Mostly?
Yeah,
I mean,
and
don't have sun.
Yeah, and being nomadic is a big help because what our van has, they call it an underhood generator, but it's actually a large extra alternator under the van. So anytime the vehicle's engine is running, it's charging the onboard battery system. So, like for example, our fridge and freezer it runs just off the batteries. There's no propane on that. It's been running since we bought it 2.5 years ago, nonstop. We never even think about it. The fridge and freezer just works, and we never think about it. Every time we start the car and drive here, it charges the batteries back up. So we never even think about solar or anything. It just works without even thinking about it. Now, if we had the lithium, with the batteries we have now, I can run our rooftop air conditioner for up to a half hour max, which is pretty amazing in batteries, running an air conditioner at all. But with the lithium, the people that we know that have that, they've run their air conditioner off the batteries for 3.5 to 4 hours. That's pretty impressive. So,
Yeah, I wondered if you'd run into people that had, that, like
Yeah.
lithium.
yeah, and they have the other
See
thing
how
that
they liked it, or they had, I guess there's a lot of people have problems.
It
a lot of
is,
people
and it's
don't.
really, yeah.
yeah, if you start reading the forums, I love it, I hate it.
Yeah, I don't know, I haven't really signed.
And I
up
think
for it.
some of the early technology with that a couple years ago,
Well,
there's
that's
been a
what I
lot
wondered
of,
too, 'cause
yes.
You think they'd have something worked out a little better right now.
Yeah,
How
I
many
think,
years they've
I
been doing
think
it.
they do.
But someday I would actually like to build my own and have even less technology, because we've looked at them, like, I don't know if you saw the video in the Phoenix RV show, we toured the big fancy,
Oh, yeah.
because you can buy road trucks up to $250,000. I mean, radiant floor heating, I mean, they're a Mercedes chassis, but everything is there's so much technology that if one thing breaks down, it's a major inconvenience as opposed to more simple. For us, the simple is better because the van really is just to get us someplace, and we cook in it and sleep in it and stores our food, and that's about it.
Yeah, you seem to like the ProMaster, right? I mean,
We do,
you know,
yeah.
Mercedes versus the ProMaster.
Well, I can tell you what the Mercedes is nice, but I wouldn't trade it straight across for the Dodge.
Yeah.
We like the width. You actually have more room. If you go tour any of the Class Bs, go in there as a couple and walk around. We have what we call the van dance.
Oh.
It's like we're putting groceries and moving. You just have to move around each
We just
other,
kind of naturally know.
and just
I
kind
didn't
of.
think about that,
But ours, because the ProMaster on the Dodge chassis is wider,
Yeah.
there's actually in the aisle, we can actually walk by each other. Most of the Mercedes, if you look at a Mercedes when you're behind one, you'll see how much narrower they are.
Yeah, I know there's,
And then some of the places we go, I don't know how far if you had an issue, how far you'd have to drive to find a Mercedes dealership.
yeah.
And then we talked to a couple that had a Mercedes and they broke down, and there was a Mercedes dealership, but they had to stay in this town until the parts came from Germany to fix their van. So the people that love them, those that hate them. So it's just, those are things that we think about.
We've never had one, so we can't really speak to that, but we love the
Well, I mean,
Dodge.
there's a lot of discussion about when they change the emissions and.
And we know nothing about that.
Yeah, well, I don't-
And there's I've seen discussion about the diesel now and
Oh.
all the biodiesel.
Yeah, and actually, you probably like the gas
Yeah,
instead of diesel.
Yeah.
Anywhere. and all that.
yeah.
We get on the highway, believe it or not, between 19 and 20 miles to the gallon in our van. And that's loaded with all the stuff. Yeah, most big RVs get like 8. But that's we have 36 gallons of fresh water on board. And we have a black and gray tank, which is funny. You know, one of the things that's changed us living in a van is you look at things differently. You look at waste. I mean, I read that the average person uses between 80 and 110 gallons of water a day based on just their lifestyle. And we try to make 36 gallons last 2 weeks.
Yeah, now you say that, and I see that they have a good sized fresh tank, and what do you do for the gray? Do you have like something in your sink that collects like?
No, we actually have an actual black and gray tank.
Right, but I mean, like for us, we,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, we have a
Oh.
plastic
Like a
thing in
bowl.
the sink and we just dump it out.
Right.
You know, that kind of thing.
Then it's not filling up.
Because it's
Yeah.
easier, even though we have a lot of bigger. But now, here's something you haven't addressed. What
Okay.
about this black tank, this tiny little black tank? You can't go 2 weeks with.
Oh, no. About
No.
5 days or so.
So you just find other.
They're
facilities
everywhere,
and
it
get
seems
in.
like, yeah.
I think that's what would limit you more.
We never have trouble
Yeah,
finding a
but
dump
then,
station.
I mean, the way we travel, we're just on the move, really, every day or two.
Oh, yeah,
So,
you're always, yeah.
for us, it hasn't been an issue.
Yeah, and there's some technology to find the dump stations. There are quite a few of them.
Right, so it all works out.
Yeah, it seems to not been a problem for us, thank goodness, but,
I just wondered what you had to say.
yeah.
Any more Instagram questions?
Yes, another Kelly Howell asked, if I could ask them anything, I would ask, what's it like living without stuff in a home base? I often dream of selling everything and just having books and my camera and traveling the US. I want to know how freeing that is.
Do it.
Awesome.
Do it now.
It's the best thing ever. It was an evolution for us. We
Yeah.
downsized from a big home that we sold right before I retired to a little tiny condo, to a tinier condo, to a van. So some people we know, they just kind of jump into this. We had this slow evolution down to it, but we would have to get rid of stuff to downsize, and that's about all I think we can get rid of. And then it was like, pretty soon we're getting rid of more, and then it became almost liberating.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't need that anymore, and how many pairs of pants do I need? You know, so we really did. I mean,
Uh-huh.
there's so many ways that people they just start getting stuff, and unless it makes our life better, we just don't need it.
Well, we recently talked about what the feeling was, why we enjoy this so much. Like, we're really trying to pinpoint what it is about it we love, and freedom is what we came up with, just like what she was talking about.
That's what keeps you going. Like, that's what.
Well,
it's just so freeing. I mean, we've never felt that before in our life, I guess. We've always been a slave to our job and our house and our maintenance on our house and all the stuff in the house that we bought.
it's like your house makes you stay home.
It owns you.
You can't leave too long. You got a yard to mow. You got stuff to take care of. You got to get back and take care of me. Some people say that this van life's a bad thing with some people. I'm like, maybe the house and the yard is a fad thing, and we're just done with that fad. But it is what she mentioned, the freedom, because we're struggling. Why is it that we like this life so much? And it was the fact that if I want to go to Idaho today, I can just put the car and drive and go. I don't have to pack anything. I don't have to make sure the house is taken care of. I don't have to do anything. I mean, everything I own or need is already in the van, and we can just put it in drive and go and not take care of anything. Just say bye to whoever and off we go. And it's not like you have to go load the van or load the camper from the house and plan this trip and reserve your camp spots and go do this trip and stay there and then come back home and you're exhausted and unpack everything and put it away and just winterize the van. Nope, we just live in the van. And she does say that she'll never own a car again that she can't go to the bathroom in.
I don't know how people do it.
Never own a car
That doesn't have a bathroom. No, yeah, and it was weird. Oh, when we got the wrap put on here in South Beach at Newport Signs.
Right? Yeah.
We got it before we took off on our trip.
Okay.
Yeah. last.
I didn't
like,
really care for it, but if your wife's willing to live in a van with you and she wants to put a wrap on the van, put a wrap on the van.
So the sign guy had the van for like a day, and so we borrowed my mom's car, and I was like having to plan, like, okay, I'm gonna need a coat, but I gotta pack that. I gotta pack food because I normally just have my fridge, so I eat when I'm hungry. So I gotta plan ahead, all these things. I have extra changes of clothes, and then there's no bathroom in the car. It really was inconvenient.
It sounds pretty.
I've gotten accustomed to having my home with me, so
That's awesome.
it was
People
just
think-
a weird experience to have a car, be in a car instead.
Yeah, all the conveniences of home in your car.
Love it. Are there any other questions?
So if you're not planning ahead where you're going to stay, have you ever had problems with someplace to stay?
No, not really. Typically, we're looking ahead. There's phone apps now. They're just maps and they show you all these free places to stay or cheap campgrounds. And we'll have a few in mind. And usually we try to limit our driving to 80 miles a day. Because it's not like when you're just going on vacation, you got to drive all the way to here to spend your week and then drive all the way back. We're just living in the van. And we've gone as far as 4 miles. Oh, this is cool. Let's stay here, And,
Yeah.
Or sometimes we think we're going to stay one night, and like we got up to Prescott, Arizona, and I loved it. It was like amazing. We're just like 450 miles of trails around town and mountain biking, and so we stayed there for a week and then we left. So we haven't had any troubles, but I mean, sometimes
About 3:00 we start really.
yeah.
If we're still on the road, I mean, we won't get on the road till about noon or so. And if we're still on the road by 3, we're really looking and trying to find a spot then. And we do not travel after dark. It's kind of.
Yeah, someone asked me about how the backup camera works at night. I said, beats me.
We've got used to it.
Why would I drive at night? Because I mean, we're just living in the van and just kind of moving to new locations. We have stayed in Walmarts. There's a lot of Walmarts that allow it. We don't typically like that, but sometimes we find really cool places that we like to stay at all day. Maybe it's a lake or something, but there's no camping around there, but it's great day use and you can't spend the night. You might spend all day, paddleboarding or whatever, and then drive down the street to Walmart, make dinner and watch a video and go to bed. Or like we wound up in Cape Canaveral, Florida, and there was no place to camp in that area, but we found out that there was a rocket launch going to happen in 3 days. So we just lived at Cape Canaveral for 3 days in a Walmart, but we'd spend all day at Cocoa Beach and doing all kinds of stuff. And they had skydiving Santas on the beach and all kinds of stuff. And then at night we just drive to Walmart before dark and stay there for free. And so sometimes we just park in a street somewhere in some town and call that home.
Yeah. Done that.
Sometimes I live in downtown Bend.
Yeah.
A little secret spot I park and walk to a restaurant, to a brewery, walk back to the van.
Nice.
Don't tell anyone. Oh, is that thing on?
Secrets out. I look for a couple more. I think we had a couple on. Yes, the one question that comes to mind is what do they do when they want some time on their own? I think we covered that. Let me see here. Cafe, sorry guys.
When you mentioned Prescott, is there any place else that really stands out as a place that you really recommend?
Boy, that's probably
We do get asked that a
we
lot.
get asked that, and what's our favorite place?
Hard to
And
answer.
it is. I mean, I love Pensacola, Florida. It was a lot like the Bend area, but it's on a white sand beach and it's warm, which is kind of cool. Beautiful. For us, the things that we like are more of the remote outdoors type things, and where there's less crowds. Like, I mean, we do some of the national parks, of course, but typically most of them are just so crowd, bus loads of people coming in, and you can find some off the beaten path, find some places and go, this could be a national park, but it's all ours today. Ontario has a bunch of those. And they don't have, it's public land, but they call it
Queensland.
Queensland, I think. and you can stay there for free for the most part. But yeah, I don't know. There's so many places that, and every state is, like she was mentioning earlier. Imagine if whatever state you're from and you know all about that state, how long would it take you to take someone and show them all the cool places in that one state? I mean, it would just Oregon alone, whether it's Wallowa Lake and the east or Bend, southern or the coastal areas, the entire coast, it would take. So we're traveling through and we're just getting a glimpse of each place. But the one thing I found is that every state surprises me, and it's nothing like expected to be when I get there. Upstate New York was beautiful. I mean, absolutely gorgeous upstate New York. And we were worried when we did New England. We spent 7 weeks touring the New England in the fall, and upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Maine. We never had a problem finding places to camp for free, real beautiful places, which surprised me. I expected it would be
Off the coastline.
once
Yeah.
you get on the coastline, it's so populated. It's tough. We kind of stayed in a little bit, but the Georgia, I had no idea. I'd never even thought about Georgia. Someplace I want to go. We're doing the Georgia coastline. It's just islands. It was like I didn't know Georgia had islands. But
Yeah.
I guess I never looked at the map that close. But Georgia was absolutely beautiful, and Central Florida, the Everglades. I could just go on. I mean,
Yeah.
Basically,
There's not one spot.
I'll have to go back to the videos and get back to you on that.
Another one, Patty asks, I wonder how you find all the amazing sites to stay in. I'm intimidated by winging it. My type A brain has a hard time not having a plan.
So write down these apps. All stays, one word, ALL stays. iOverlander, WikiCamps.
Those are the three main ones.
Those are
There's
probably-
others,
there's
Campendium.
Campendium. These are phone apps. Most of them are free or really inexpensive. And there's a website, freecampsites.net, that has amazing campsites.
You can do this with a type A personality and actually just plan it out, map your route and make arrangements. And I mean, yeah, some of the places might not work out once you get there, but maybe have a backup plan in your pocket. And
another cool thing that we've done several times, that there's a thing called Harvest Host. And Harvest Host, it costs us $40 a year, so it's pretty inexpensive. And you go to their website, and they have all over the country and Canada, they have Harvest Host locations. And it started as wineries, so most of them are wineries, and I like wine. But if you're a Harvest Host member for that $40 a year, if you call them a day in advance, you can stay there for free if you're fully self-contained like we are. And if you've been to wineries, they're typically in beautiful locations. So we've stayed in wineries all over Arizona, Pennsylvania, and just call them a day in advance.
if they have
Get
room,
there and they'll say, yeah, just park over there by the vineyard and by the grapes. And it's like, I'm living right here. They say it's free, but you got to go in the winery and, then you got to taste some wine and you got to buy a bottle of wine. But you could actually tour, you could travel across the country and stay at a Harvest Host every night. And they're not all wineries now. There's small farms, museums, some breweries, but mostly wineries. There's some in Oregon, some of the Lima Valley has wineries you can stay at for free. So.
All right. I guess if there's no more, is there any more questions?
Oh, I have one.
yeah,
Because I haven't, put one of those
Yeah.
vans. It's hard to tell from the videos. So for storage, I'm just in storage.
yes.
So you put a lot in the back
Uh-huh.
and then under your bed.
Mhm.
Is there a connecting thing or is there a barrier there?
It's open.
There's a barrier in the
Oh,
middle
it
of the
is
bed.
open, or-
There's a barrier in the middle of the bed. Like you can't go all the way, you can, but there's a thin
Oh.
wall. So from the front, under the bed, we
Oh, I
have
didn't
some,
know that,
we have
sorry.
backpacking gear.
It's his
Yeah,
department.
she doesn't.
Okay, so it can't like.
If you go in from the biggest thing that we have to store, it's going to sound strange, but the biggest storage thing we have is shoes.
Yeah, I saw that huge container.
Lot of
shoe
And
bed.
it goes under the bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a bin of shoes that's this big because
Yeah.
Cycling.
the runners in the room know,
Yes,
yeah,
activities.
yeah, you have trail shoes and road shoes, and then me as a cyclist, I have mountain biking shoes, I have road biking shoes, so I've got a big bin of shoes. And then also from the front, I can access all our backpacking gear under the bed. And then in the back, you open the back doors up, and under the bed I have like inflatable paddle boards and our camp oven and
Oh yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
Now we've talked about there's an option to put a permanent bed in there instead of the couch that folds down into a bed. And if you did that, there would not be a barrier. It would just be a big wide open space
Me
there.
when you order it? there's-
Yeah, a road
Oh,
trip.
that's like the simplicity. Oh,
Yes.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we've talked about doing that in our van and pulling that out because we never make that up into a couch. We just leave it permanently a bed, and that's a lot of wasted weight with the mechanism for the couch. For one, we could switch that out for other fun stuff,
Yeah.
and then the space we could really utilize if we did
Right,
that.
and then you have that height restriction.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of low, but.
Yeah,
we can show it to you before.
Yeah, well, you can take a look before you head out.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
if you insist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I was
yeah,
just thinking it would be convenient, like, day trips, like for, those of us that aren't maybe full thing.
To have the
probably
couch.
wouldn't, but I
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
I did look at the simplicity thinking, oh yeah, that's a great idea, but then, yeah, but they don't offer quite as many options.
It's, a
Yeah.
little bit different.
but yeah, if
That's
you're,
why they have so many models, I can't believe this.
well, the thing that we've
It's a lot
learned
to
with
take
that
in,
is
isn't it?
everyone wants things differently, and people ask us, what's the best model? Which one would you get? It really boils down to your lifestyle. Like if you're a part-time, you probably want your bed to go to a couch because you might have people in the back.
But, yeah.
We have a bed, we'd never make, it's always a bed.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to, especially traveling all the
I can't imagine going, I think I'll make the bed in a couch, so I go sit in the back of the van. I might just sit back there in the van. We just put the lawn chairs out. We got an electric awning and it works.
Oh, well, okay, I have one other question.
Yeah.
Okay, what about your heat? Now, is yours really noisy?
Yeah.
Do you ever use the heat very much? Are you allowed to use the heat?
Oh yeah, we use the heat.
Well, because
No,
we're-
you didn't get it.
I got the dig there. That was
Are you
loud and
allowed
clear.
to use the heat?
Well, when you chase 75 degrees, it's not on very often.
Right,
Yeah.
but like I said.
It's been a lot here today.
In the mountains, we go in the winter a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, the mornings are cold.
Yeah, we turn it on in the
Get out.
morning. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we use it.
Is it pretty noisy? or
Doesn't bother
matter?
us.
We don't use it very
Why?
long, because it doesn't take long.
We don't, yeah, it doesn't. If we leave it on overnight, if we're like when we're kind of stuck near Niagara last winter, we kind of got caught in the cold weather there. We would have it on at night, set it. I don't
Like living
know.
by train tracks, I think. You just kind of,
It kicks on, but it heats up within 4 minutes and then it
Well, I
turns
just
itself
wonder if it
off.
bothered you or not, because like I said, you've mentioned more than once about the hydronic system, like, ooh, that'd be nice.
Oh, well, just because one, yeah.
That's a pretty expensive option.
Yeah, I don't, that's probably not for us, but yeah, I think maybe we've gotten used to the furnace. I don't really even notice it anymore. We normally now just like for the cooler mornings here, just turn it on when we wake
It heats
up
up
for
quick.
like 5 minutes and then we're done.
Okay, so then that runs on propane.
Yeah.
What else do you have for propane?
a stove.
Oh, your
Cooktop.
stove, yeah. Now, would you, if you had the option of induction, would you think?
If I had lithium. If I had lithium, I'd go with induction.
Yeah.
I think it would.
I would like to get away from all propane.
Like I said, that's what I liked about your review. You said, well, we use this pan,
Mhm.
and it doesn't exactly fit, but
I know, people say use smaller pans, but we don't cook in a small pan.
If
If I'm using one pan, it's gonna be a lot of food in
So I
there.
thought, well, we only have one, that kind of makes, because that's all we kind of use at once anyway.
Yeah.
You had a question back there?
Yeah, have you ever thought about traveling internationally, like you could?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you have?
Yes, we have.
Like rent something when you got here.
No, I think we've talked about shipping. We have Pistol though, our puppy, so that presents different challenges for taking her overseas.
Oh, our Boston Terrier, we can't fly with her because they don't allow the little snub-nosed dogs down where they go in the airplanes because they can have breathing problems. And she's too big to fly in the cab. So, someday Pistol's not gonna be around.
Yeah, so that's
And
on the list, yes.
So I will ship our van to Europe
Yeah.
when that happens. And we met a couple, we talk about the people we meet. We meet some amazing people just in some of the remote campgrounds. They're out camping nearby. We met a couple from Istanbul, Turkey, that we were on this tiny island in Grand Isle, Louisiana, New Year's Eve. And it was like a tornado warning came in, and it was like going to be a crazy night. And the camp host invited us and this other couple from Turkey into his camp trailer for a fun evening. And so, but they had a home built. They're very they don't have a lot of money, but they built their own Sprinter van, shipped it from Turkey to the East Coast, and so they're spending 3 years touring North and South America. And so we met them, and just amazing people. And then 5 months later, we stayed in touch on Facebook once in a while. 5 months later, we bumped into them in Zion and camped them again in Zion. And then we camped them again in northern Utah after that.
But where are they now? Ecuador?
Yeah, they're working their way down. They went to Mexico and Guatemala. Now they're in Ecuador now. But they inspire us because they are fearless. I mean, I'm ready to go do Mexico in the van, and she's like, maybe not yet.
Well, I like that. I would like to research. I'm a total wing it person, but that
Mexico,
like
Guatemala,
those
require some research for sure.
Someday though.
There's a lot of people that go down there in the Baja Peninsula and they camp in their vans all winter, and it's just, I see some of the pictures and it'd be epic. But they inspire me to go. I'm going to load the van up and go to Europe and do all that in the van. And
yeah. So yes, it's on the list.
yeah.
I guess to round it out too, I know that you talked about that this isn't, you're not like preaching this is the life for everybody, and some of the vacation days are not always a vacation. But I wonder if you have any like advice for people here and that are viewing that are waiting to do the things that they love to do, or it's scary or it seems impossible. Do you have any like advice or tips for people? Or like, I know that last time you talked about the guy that you ran into, saying he wouldn't have worked another day if he didn't have to, or whatever, you know what I mean? Not like don't quit your day job or whatever, but like that.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for people to?
I don't know advice. I mean, life has different seasons, and maybe the season you're in right now is, finding a way to make your dream happen. But I guess just don't give up. I think a lot of people have a dream, they think it's out of their reach.
Right.
And so they just get into the grind of the daily life and decide that that's what they have to do, and they're okay with that. But they've totally put this away that they'll never do that. And I just think that's sad. I think people need to find a way to make that happen, because
there's so many different ways to do it. I mean, knowing what I know now, I might have done my life completely different.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Today's world is we've met people. I mean, for some people, a big giant Class A is awesome for them, the way they like to live their life. Some people, it's the van. There's different ways, whatever makes you happy. But I don't know, lost my train of thought there, but
You wandered.
I did. Cut, edit this out.
No, it doesn't work that way.
Must have been rain.
It's all the fog. It's all the fog. So just keep at it.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's always going to be scary, I think.
Right. Always feels impossible. Right?
Yeah.
I know
you
where I
just
was
have
going.
to jump.
All right.
Okay.
Cut back in. But it's hard to explain sometimes. You just have a feeling about things. But when I was working, especially the early years, there was no possibility to work remotely. We meet people on the road that are full-time in different types of RVs, from vans to Class A's, that are in their 30s, that they just park in a beautiful campground or park somewhere and they work remotely for 8 hours a day. And then they're off living their life because they found a way to live free, without having to go into an office all day. What worked for us worked, and we've spent 30 years in, doing this grind and saving and planning to be, retiring young. So we're very blessed. We know that. But we meet people today that, you know, I think back to 20 years ago, Dave, when I see some of these young people in the 20s and 30s that live in a junky van and they got climbing gear and they just go from climbing place and they work for an odd job for a while and they go live here for 6 months. And I thought, what a bum. Today's Dave goes, maybe these guys had it figured out, you know, maybe that's the way to go, because they're doing what they want to do, not what society has told them that they should do. We're kind of told you're supposed to do this for this long, and then you're supposed to have a home, and you're supposed to have a yard, and then you got to remodel your home, and then you got to upsize your home, and all these things that you have to do. And sometimes I think we do things just because that's what we're expected to do, or that's just
That equates success,
That-
I think,
yeah.
in a lot of
Right.
society. Like,
Yeah.
that means, oh, he's a hard worker, he works hard,
Yeah.
he's successful.
and here we are,
Well, what does that really mean?
voluntarily homeless.
What are you sacrificing for that? Yeah. Right.
So, but you know, to
So
each
how
their
much
own.
longer are you gonna be on this? How are you gonna keep doing this? I mean, are you another 3, 4, 5 years?
We don't know.
I don't know. That's what you said earlier, was when we don't want to do anymore, I guess we just won't.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's really hard to say, because like she said, 2 years ago, we wouldn't have known now that we're doing it full time and don't want to stop, you know. But the fact that I get to go drive across this country again and stay wherever I want, go wherever I want, it's really hard to go back to think, sure wish I had a
So
yard.
If you had to stop right now, of all the places that you visited,
Woo.
where would you?
That's hard, because we kind of always have that little
I
nugget in
object.
the back of our mind as we're traveling,
Yeah.
like, oh, is this somewhere we could live year round? And there's nowhere we've been that we would live there for certain seasons,
Right.
but like, you know, I mean, you don't want a winter up here and you don't want a summer down there, it's too hot. I
Yeah,
don't know. but-
that'd be tough, but I mean, for our lifestyle, I really enjoyed Prescott, Arizona, because if you're in, even though it's up, because Prescott's like 5,000 or 6,000 feet, I think.
Something, yeah. about-
So it's pretty cold in the winter, but it's like an hour and a half to the Phoenix area. So in that area, you can be in warm or cold, whatever you want in that Arizona
pretty
area.
quickly, yeah.
And I actually didn't think, I love the mountains, and Prescott is big mountains, big trees. It's nothing like the desert that's down below, but I like the mountains the best. But what's funny is when I get to the desert again in the winter, the last 2 winters, like, it's so beautiful and the sunsets are amazing and I love them for what they are, but then I'm happy to get back to the mountains. Then I'm happy to get back to the desert.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel spoiled that I have the ability to go where I want, and I refuse to answer where I'm going to stay full time.
Would you recommend if you had a 3 and a 4-year-old?
You know, I don't know about 3 and 4, but our boys are 3 years apart, and we met I was telling Ed earlier before we got here that we do laundry and laundromats, which is a whole other topic. In fact, we talked about writing a book about people of laundromats, you know, something like that. It would be an interesting book. But we met a gal in
Becky somewhere.
some state somewhere, some country. But she had 5 kids from teenagers to young, and she's single and struggling to make it with 2 jobs, living in a 1-bedroom apartment. And she's thinking about trying to find a way to move into build a school bus, the schoolies,
Yeah.
and travel with her kids and homeschool them. And people think that's crazy, but when we were traveling the East Coast, I'd been to the East Coast once, and that was for boot camp. We didn't do any sightseeing. But all the places on the East Coast that we'd never been before, I'd only read in books in school about Appomattox and Fort Sumter. But I was actually able to go to those places and to stand where Lee and Grant signed, and I actually raised the flag on Fort Sumter where the first shots were fired. And how cool to be able to travel with kids and you know, not just reading a book about this stuff. If I had a way to do it, I don't know how it would be, but I would do it. But I think to live a lifestyle like this and you don't know how to do it, if you just think I want to do that, you're probably not going to. But if you're trying to find ways to make it happen, you can. We met a girl, young lady in Canada that wants to live this lifestyle, and she's constantly trying to find ways to do it. And I said, you will, because you're trying to find a way to make it work. She doesn't want to live the same lifestyle that most people live. She wants to find ways. And I think if you're actually actively searching for ways to do it, something will come up. But if you're just thinking, someday I'm going to do that, you're probably not ever going to do that, you know, and that's, I don't know. Well, that was good. I should write that down.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got that video. I think we're good. Thanks so much, guys, for sharing your life
Yeah.
and everything. This
Yeah.
is-
No problem.
Thank you.
So what we're really curious is what your band looks like.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you can do a little band tour, that'd be awesome.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, no.